A new technology is ripping through the financial world. According to the Financial Times, this new tech is taking over the front pages. Wired calls it a gold rush, and Forbes calls it a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Not only is this technology poised to become bigger and more influential than artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, and even 5G, it's moving much, much faster. I call this technology GTE, and as I'll reveal today, it could grow 48 times bigger than the entire stock market. Now, I know that sounds hard to believe, but GTE will help create a new way of life. It will change the types of houses and cars and investments that we can own and profit from in a way mankind hasn't seen for 400 years. So, it's no surprise the world's smartest billionaire investors are all making their moves. The outspoken CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, just invested in GTE. Billionaire founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, just made $2.9 million from his investment in GTE. The founder of Virgin, Richard Branson, is on board, and TV Shark Tank investor Mark Cuban just doubled down on his investment because he thinks this tech will dwarf Bitcoin.
Well, Jeff, as big as those names are, we have to remind everyone that you are hailed as one of America's foremost tech investing experts. So for me to be sitting here with you again is a pleasure and actually a privilege. And for all of you tuning in at home, my name is Chris Hurd. I'll be your host today and am privileged to be so. I got to say, Jeff, it sounds like, based on what you've just said, all the big players are making their moves into GTE.
Right. Well, thank you, Chris, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. And you are right. The smartest investors in the world are circling because GTE is set to overhaul the entire world economy. It will disrupt real estate, technology, energy, healthcare, and entertainment, and more, igniting the single biggest financial event since the birth of the stock market. The information in this document indicates we could be days away from the rollout. And if my estimates are correct, this technology will have an impact 113 times bigger than the internet, 600 times bigger than 5G, and 1,000 times bigger than cryptocurrencies.
1,000 times bigger. That's pretty hard to imagine.
I
and
know.
Especially, Jeff, when I think about all the fortunes that are being made in all of those individual technologies. So how big are we talking? In dollar terms, are we talking billions, trillions?
Okay, well, think a little bit bigger, Chris. All told, $2.1 quadrillion is at stake. That's 48 times bigger than the stock market, which explains why the biggest players on Wall Street are diving in headfirst. Goldman Sachs, the world's #1 investment bank, backed a company investing $400 million in GTE. Renowned investment bank JP Morgan just built a 100-person division dedicated to GTE. Andreessen Horowitz, the legendary VC who made a fortune moving in early on Facebook, led a $23 million investment in this technology. Even the world's biggest stock exchanges are getting in. The NYSE just announced their involvement in GTE, and the NASDAQ reports GTE is finally ready and that it will transform the $440 billion global sports industry. And that's why super athletes like Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant jumped in, adding up to $305 million in investment. Even Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski are involved. Now, according to Forbes, GTE could be the next big thing.
Well, it certainly seems to meet the definition of big. But see, with all these billionaires and these hedge funds and the celebrities that you mentioned, with all of them lining up, is there really any room for average investors to profit from GTE?
At the moment, yes, absolutely. What we're seeing is a reversal of fortunes unlike any in history. Almost every asset class in the world has been captured by Wall Street,
right?
And chances are that will happen with GTE too. But for the moment, there is a rare window for regular investors to get in. This year, companies involved in this technology have been showering investors in profits. Take Uniswap, which jumped 850% since just this January, or B20. It exploded from $1.72 per share to over $27. That's a 1,490% gain, nearly 16 times your money. And you could have bought shares of Rarible for $1.50 before it skyrocketed as high as $42.
All right, so $1.50 to 42. Hold,
right.
give me just a moment here, because I know that the NASDAQ in a great year might be up, what, 9%. But what you're
average,
talking about, this seems like an entirely different animal altogether. So if I take that last example,
Yep.
anyone who invested $500
Yep.
could have walked away with almost $14,000. That all just happened this year.
Yes, those are gains from this year. That's 2021. These are just a few of this year's big winners. And while it's no guarantee for how other plays will perform, it proves just how quickly this technology is moving. Early GTE investors are making money hand over fist. It's absolutely unbelievable. For instance, this year shares of Aave popped as much as 682%. And I know this next one it's going to be hard to believe, but Theta made its investors as much as 179 times their money. That turns every $1,000 invested into as much as $179,920 in just 1 year, Chris. Every one of these is involved in GTE technology. As big and as exciting as these gains are, I'm even more excited for the opportunity that, of course, we're going to discuss here today.
Right.
And we'll get into all of the details in just a moment. But imagine a world IPO day where, where 20,000 IPOs all go public in a single day, and then 20,000 more every day after that. Forever, Chris.
Are you being serious here? 20,000 IPOs in a single day.
I know it sounds impossible, but GTE will bring a $2.1 quadrillion private economy online with thousands of IPOs every single day. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about IPOs in the traditional sense. As I'll explain today, these IPOs are an evolution of the kind that you're familiar with. So soon you'll be able to invest in all sorts of things that were previously off limits to regular investors. Now, in a moment, I'll show you how anyone with just $25 can invest in the private economy.
Okay, $25. And GTE is the technology that's going to make all of this possible?
That's right. And the renowned consulting firm Deloitte says the way we invest could be about to change with the arrival of GTE, but those who are not prepared risk being left behind. Now, we just saw how the NYSE and NASDAQ are getting involved. With this mad frenzy of IPOs opening up, they cannot afford to ignore it, because this new market will absolutely dwarf the stock market, the bond market, and even the global currency market combined.
It's incredible. Now, you just mentioned the private economy just a moment ago and the fact that it's about to open up. But is that what you mean by private economy, bonds and currencies?
Actually, no. I'm talking about really a hidden realm of investing that's been off limits to most for centuries.